Ooh, little thing came up and told me something. I don't even know if my mic's. Yep, looks like my mic's working. All right. All right. Let's see what we got going on here. Where can I add the chat? Uncle Guns, hello, sir. Chat overlay. We'll enable those. Click overlay. All right. We got some of that going on. Big chat over here. Little screen over here. Trying something new today. May have a special guest. Also wanted to try, and another thing we're trying new is we're on Instagram, I think, right now as well. So I'm going to go over to my Instagram and see. Maybe, maybe not. I don't even know where to find. All right. Well, if one of you wonderful people out there would do me a favor and maybe go check Instagram and see if there is maybe something live going on. Supposed to be, but maybe not. Don't know. TJ, hello, sir. Iroquois Foreskin. Mr. Hall, good to see all of the regulars around. So yeah, added the Instas maybe, and I did an Instagram test. Monday, and it worked. However, I am now struggling to find somewhere on the Instagram to see if I can see what's going on now. I even tried a different Instagram account to see if it would like show up in my feed, and it's not. Turtle, hello, sir. Oh, you know what? My Instagram now, the delay. Oh, I have to click this, I bet. It looks like now it might be live on Instagram. There was an extra step that I did the other day and forgot about today. So let me go back to my chat and see what's going on. All right. Uncle Guns, I will answer your question momentarily. I'd like to point out to everyone that tonight's live chat is sponsored by Iron Pig Armament. Get my linky copy paster over here. Copy. Chat. Paste. ironpigarmament.com. All right, you guys are awesome. Thanks for checking on the Instagrams for me. I'm hoping to have a guest this evening here at some point, and I sent him the link to join, and if he is squared away on his end with time and technical prowess, he may join me. And if so, he wanted to do it on Instagram. So I figured out how to do Instagram. All right. So speaking of Iron Pig Armament, right over this shoulder, somewhere in that neighborhood, is a blaster. That blaster is an Iron Pig Armament blaster. It is going to get a healthy workout. We're going to do a review of it. I'm probably going to take one of the red dots that I got floating around here, put it on the top, and I think I might take Andrew's sling and stick on it. Try that on there for a bit. It's going to be at some classes and that kind of thing for folks to check out. In addition, I'm going to do a video like a nut to butt. Here it is. And I know you're all going to be like, it looks really cool. And did you pick the colors? Yes, I did pick the colors. Turtle has some options. Turtle is the Iron Pig Armament fella who's here in the comment section, floating around. He asked, like, is there anything you want specced out particularly? The only thing that I kind of went against the grain on was the muzzle device, because he has his own Iron Pig branded muzzle brake. And everyone knows, like, Gary hates fucking muzzle brakes. But I wanted to try out the one that he has that's his. So, and I'm not going to put a laser on it and go shoot it in the dark under nods. So, mostly because, you know, a guy's got limited amounts of lasers that he can put on stuff. But I can't show it to you on Liveshat. Like, literally, YouTube could shut it down just by it being in the background, but we'll see. But it is pretty slick. What else is going on? We did a restock of Mod 4 sling dubers. I'll give you that link as well. Hey, I think my special guest is just about arrived. He is getting himself situated. When he, now his video went out. Now his video is back. When he gives me the double thumbs up, I will click him in live. He gave me the double thumbs up. All right, fellas, let's get to the topic of discussion and allow me to introduce tonight's special guest, Mr. Sam Houston.
Hey Gary, what's going on, man?
Not much. How you doing, Sam?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for suggesting such a wonderful idea.
You know, a little healthy discourse over a topic like this is always interesting. So,
Oh, absolutely. It's how we learn stuff.
sure.
And more importantly, it's how anybody who's tuning in learns stuff without paying us money.
Yep. Let me see here. I got something over here. Grab.
Perfect. So if you guys out there couldn't tell by tonight's by the thumbnail for tonight's live chat, one of the topics of discussion was going to be the Glock 48 and how it stacks up to some other Glocks and maybe other things it stacks up to as well. Who knows where the conversation could end up going? I think it's pretty common that everyone knows I'm a big fan of them, and I don't think anybody hates them. Well, I could be wrong. Maybe somebody does, but either way, it's good to talk about them, pluses, minuses, how it compares to other shit. And Sam hit me up on Instagram and said, hey, I don't think that's a bad gun, but I have points I would discuss with you. And I said, well, let's make it happen.
Yeah, man. You sort of nailed it right there. I don't want people to tune into this and be like, "Oh, that guy hates Glock 48s." No, actually, I do like Glock 48s. I definitely, you know, I'm a Glock guy. And so really the only Glocks I hate are, I would say, the 43, which is that little 380, and maybe something like a Gen 4 Glock 22. You know,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
those are pretty rough. Or the New York Trigger. But you know, your post got me thinking. I'm like, okay, what does the Glock 48 have that the Glock 19 has? And vice versa.
Yeah.
So I kind of compiled a little bit of a mental list on certain things, and did a little bit of research, and some things kind of popped out at me. They were kind of fascinating and interesting. So I thought I'd talk about that.
Awesome.
You know, so I guess first and foremost, I work for Green Line Tactical. I also train for Warrior Poet Society. Work for John Lovell. So I do that. I'm probably on the range 6 months out of the year, so I see a lot of pistol stuff. Um, we primarily get a lot of new pistol shooters at Warrior Poet Society,
Yep.
and definitely new red dot shooters at Green Line. Most of the pistol shooters have had a class or two, generally speaking,
Hmm.
but I get to see a lot of pistols. I mean, my sample size of students is like, oh, is pistol students alone probably about 1,200 pistol students a year, which is pretty, it's pretty significant. So
Yeah, it is.
you kind of see what works, what doesn't work. Um, what guns I like, what guns I don't like, and for the most part, Glocks are good. The only time I really see issues with Glocks is when they start modifying them and they take the OEM parts out of them and start messing with tolerance stacking being a thing. And
Right.
generally speaking, you can replace one part and be just fine, but you start doing 4 or 5 parts at that's when things get kind of janky. And I'm sure you can probably attest to that with the training that you conduct and even what you see out on the
Yeah,
range.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
but as going back to the 48, 40, uh, well, I may accidentally say 43X because, other than the
It's like
barrel
the
length
same
is,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
same. And I do have a 43X. It's my wife's gun, but I do carry it concealed. Maybe it's like 10% of the time when I carry concealed. Um, just an FYI, I carry a Glock 19 as my concealment gun, and that is basically what the 48 is kind of competing with.
Yep.
So, without further ado, let's talk about a couple things. Um, did you know that the Glock 48 has a longer barrel length than the Glock 19?
No, I did not realize that.
Yes. I mean, it's like it's a tenth of an inch, but if we're talking dimensionally, the Glock 19 has actually a shorter barrel than a Glock 48,
Is
which
that
is
shorter overall, like slide front to back a little bit too, or just the
no.
barrel length?
The slide. What is the slide length? Let's see if hopefully this doesn't jack up the video. Hold on.
Yeah. Well, we'll find
Uh,
out in a minute.
where were you? So, if you look on, where is that? So the overall length of a Glock 48 is 7.28 inches. That is the same length as a Glock 19. So the length is the same.
Okay.
Um, but the barrel length is
A
where
smidgen
is
longer.
just a smidgen longer. Yeah, it's the the slide width is 1.01 inches. I'm sorry, the width is 1.01 inches overall. So that's taken into account the widest point on the gun on a 48.
Hmm.
The slide width itself is 0.87 inches. Um, and the height is 5.04 inches. And again, the overall length is 7.28 inches, just like the Glock 19.
Hmm.
So dimensionally, it's pretty much the same. Now we're talking width. Now, um, I have a feeling you're going to say, oh, the 48 doesn't print quite as bad as the Glock 19, and
Yeah, it doesn't, I guess.
I would say that, like, if you're one of those folks that have a little bit of long-term survival, winter survival built in, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe a 43, or sorry, a 43X or a 48 is going to print less um, than a 19. Uh, just because of the overall width. But
Mhm.
I carry this gun like God over 300 days a year, and I live in Florida. It's hot down here, so I do occasionally wear shorts. But I dress to the gun, and we've always heard that you dress to
Right.
the gun. You may have to make a lifestyle change, but that right there, it's a thing. Um, why I stay here? We go back to our old buddy James Yeager. And it's really hard for me to argue with James, even though he's not here anymore. But man, all 9 millimeters should be Glocks. All Glocks should be, Glock 19s, basically. Um, and the reason I say that is it's when I see students on the range when we shoot, what is one of the biggest, most important factors when it comes to fundamentals. What is You're going to say one of two things, and I'll give you 50-50 credit, but I know you're going to say one of them. Go ahead.
So are we looking at factors for the students or factors on the gun?
Yes.
Yes.
What do most students have a problem with? What are they not doing typically when it comes to shooting a pistol?
Well, what I see most misses come from is them not maintaining the sight picture they liked while they press the trigger.
Right. So they move the gun
Yep.
when they pull the trigger. Yeah.
Yep.
Which is, for a single shot, that's yeah, that we talk about the seven fundamentals of marksmanship, but really for a single shot, that's it. Don't move the gun when you pull the trigger.
Yep.
Assuming you know what a proper sight picture looks like.
Right.
Which most people, 5 seconds explaining it, they got it. Cool. So yeah, don't move the gun when you pull the trigger. Now, why do you move the gun when you pull the trigger?
Well, I'd like to think that I don't. No, that's not the case. But
I mean,
um,
most of the time I don't, but when I miss, it's because I move the gun when I pull the
right.
trigger. What are generally the two factors that are coming into play when the gun moves? What are you doing or not doing when the gun moves?
Well, what I see, what I appears to be for most folks is they can't isolate this guy from the rest of their fingers on both hands. Which, because interestingly, I noticed this when you see dudes shooting left-handed only, and I'm going to assume, just for the sake of discussion, that every shooter's right-handed, and the lefties can just in
Sure.
their head no, we're talking about the other thing. But when I watch a dude shoot just lefty, his right trigger finger moves when he's pressing the trigger with his left hand, and I'm like,
Little
oh,
like
so he's getting
sympathetic,
sympathetic
nervous
in
stuff.
both directions, like from one hand to the other. Uh, so it seems to me that most of the time when a student's missing, it's this thing's moving, and so are the other nine to some
Right.
degree.
Or and not just moving, but moving improperly in such a way that it imparts movement on the gun,
Yeah.
right? And so on the flip side, the other side of the coin, you can slap it, you can roundhouse kick it, you can hit it with a pipe wrench as far as the trigger is concerned, but what can't you do?
You can't have a
Move.
shitty grip if you are going to do it
Bingo.
like
There
that.
we go. Here's where we're getting at. So yes, grip. So yeah, unless you have the finest, best motor skills available, the hands of a surgeon, where you can manipulate that trigger in such a way that it doesn't move the gun, and you have the daintiest, most sissy-handed grip on the gun. As long as this is good. This is not as important. However, this is generally not even for guys like us who shoot a lot.
Yep.
This is imperfect. So this needs to be as close to perfect as humanly possible.
Mhm.
And when I see guys, and it's going back to the 48-19 kind of thing, um, or at least bigger guns, more surface area. It is assuming you have average sized hands. The more surface area I can get on the gun and grip the gun harder, because typically most people are not gripping the gun enough. Um,
Correct.
with more surface area, i.e., a bigger frame, a bigger trigger guard, a bigger palm swell, um, even some aftermarket, paddle switches or gas pedals and stuff. Not that I run those on my guns, but I do have a pretty aggressive stipple job. The more surface area I can get my hand on, the better I can control that gun. And then also some physics. The 19 is a heavier gun than a 48. Not, it marginally heavier,
Yep.
but physics being what they are, and the other thing, I got a light, that's going to weigh the gun down too. Can you put a light on a 48? Some of them you can now, but it wasn't an option early on. Um, and most guys who come with yeah, I'd say the overwhelming majority of guys who show up to classes with a 48 are not as good at shooting the 48 as the overwhelming majority of people who show up with a Glock 19, especially not after 2 or 3 days of training. So even if they put the time, effort, and energy into shooting that Glock 48, um, guys typically with a Glock 19 will still, you know, outshoot them.
Mhm.
Um, the the other thing is the 48 has the Gen 4.5 triggers, um, which is the same one that's in the 48, or sorry, the 43X.
Mhm.
Um, not as good of a trigger as the Gen 5 Glocks. So, if we're comparing that to the Gen 5 triggers, the Gen 5 triggers are, as far as Glock triggers go, they're immaculate. They're what a Glock trigger should have been all along. And
Agreed.
they had to do this like roller coaster effect where, Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4, and then finally in Gen 4.5 was a little bit better than Gen 4, and then finally you're getting closer to something that is, I wouldn't say a performance trigger, but it's a trigger more people want.
Right.
It's a almost a performance duty grade trigger, but they're smoother. They're even better than Gen 3 Glocks.
Oh,
Like
agreed.
this Gen 3 17 probably's got 25 27,000 rounds on it, and the trigger is it's OEM stock, but it's all well worn. But even this is not as good as my you know stock OEM Glock 19 or my Glock 45. Um, those guns just out of the box, they have a better trigger. And going back to the two important things, the grip and the trigger, well, if you can get a little bit better trigger, you can probably finesse it that much more. So,
Yeah, I can
um,
argue that.
being able to hold on to the gun and having a little bit more forgiving trigger, um, I think that's a good reason why the 19 is a little bit better than a 48. And then we start talking about logistical support, holster compatibility, optic mounting options, and whatnot. I think that's where the wider frame Glocks just start blowing everything out of the water.
Well, yeah,
Because,
nothing compares to
yeah,
uh, something that fits that'll hold a Glock 17 will hold so many guns, and they've been around for so long that, like,
yeah,
holster wise, mag pouch wise, that kind of thing, um, nothing competes
yeah.
with them. There's more options for that than there is for 100-year-old guns. Um,
And the Shield Arms mags for the 43Xs and the 48s, like they're really the only thing out there that's worth a damn for as far as to get the same capacity. Glock hasn't even made an OEM magazine that'll get the 48 to the same capacity as the 19. So, am I trying to see? Well, how do I say this? I don't want to suggest that the Shield Arms mags are not reliable mags.
I'll say
Um,
it.
what's that?
I'll say that.
I've had good luck with them. I've seen onesie twosies out of and that's after a whole lot of rounds fired through them. Um, are they ever going to be as reliable as a Glock mag? No, no.
Well, what I have seen it has bothered me with the Shield Arms mags.
Yeah,
Uh, was obviously they're like, hey, we sell this mag catch so that you don't wear the plastic mag catch out with the metal magazine. And I was like,
correct.
okay, that's a thing. But I've seen two of my students have to send their metal mag catch back because the metal magazines wore it out too. So one was like, that's fucking bizarre. Two was, I don't have enough students for me to have ever seen one of these, let alone see two of them. And they were in different states. It wasn't
Right.
like one guy bought a couple at one time and they all have bad heat treat or something. But I've never heard Shield Arms address it and say like, hey, there might be some of these out there. So it makes me suspicious of their mag catch, which is required for their magazine. For about a year ish, maybe we've been running the Palmetto uh, Glock 48 mags, and well, I've had guys around running them, and
Yeah.
they've been running great because they have a plastic where the mag catches, so you don't have to change it out. And we've seen no issues with them. So I was like,
And
oh,
what are those retail for?
$30.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Um, so
And I
you would
typically
say the PSA ones are better than the Shield Arms, huh?
absolutely.
Cool. Okay. That's good to know. I mean, I have two Shield Arms mags for my 43X, and I've probably shot 200 rounds out of each one of them just to make sure they cycle with and a fair bit of actually defensive ammo with them, so
Mhm.
they do cycle for me. So that's good. But like going back, you said you've had a couple of students already. It's like no, I don't know. If you again, they're not bad guns. I'm not shitting on them. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that the bigger Glocks are more forgiving. They're the other thing is like if you ever got into a fight with a gun, it's like the 19. It's it's almost a duty sized gun. Like if you're gonna get into a fight, that's not a bad gun to get into a fight with. Um, the 40 the 40 I know the 43X, that's a snappy little gun.
Mhm.
Its return to target is definitely not as fast as a 19. I can usually shoot, it's like a 7 yard bill drill. I'm running with a stock Glock 19 trigger, like 0.19 splits, 0.20 splits, and I'm keeping them in the A zone. I'm with a where the 43X, I'm more than a quarter second, like almost zero point
Yeah.
0.3 seconds. So at the tenth of a second slower, just because it is so snappy. And again, I can't get the same leverage on the gun, and I do some occasionally have to milk my grip. So,
The
um,
grip wise, I'm the opposite. Like the Gen 5 19 I have here beside me, I've done nothing to the grip because I don't shoot that gun enough. But my Gen 3 that has, I don't know, probably 12,000 rounds through it at this point, I carved the shit out of that grip
sure,
so that I felt like I could get both of my midget hands on it. Uh, but I'm sure my hands are smaller than yours.
maybe. Um, I
Well,
don't know.
next time I see you, we'll have
Next
to.
time we'll
We'll,
we'll do the through the prison cell thing.
yeah.
But full just behind the curtain, full disclosure, John Lovell carried a Glock 48 as his defensive gun for many years. Matter of fact, we were at a class doing a class together in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and this was like God, like 4, almost 5 years ago. And a
Hmm.
student, I believe the guy's name was Caleb. He had this really nice tricked out 48. It was the first Glock 48 that I had seen with an aftermarket slide on it, and it had some custom work done, and um, it was kind of flashy, but also in kind of a tasteful way. And I was like, man, that's kind of a cool looking gun, kind of thing. Unbeknownst to me, John had taken an interest in it, and he of the I guess the ironic thing or the funny thing is, about 6 months prior, he had made a video like kind of talking shit about Glock 43Xs and 48s. Um, and so we're in the car driving away from the range. He's like, "Hey, did you see that guy with that 48 today?" I'm like, "Yeah, that was a cool gun." He's like, "I think I want to trade him my gun for his gun." I was like, "You want to trade him your War Poet, your Shadow Systems gun?" He's like, "Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I don't know if I can get another War Poet gun." And I'm like, "Well, John, you are the War Poet. You can probably call Shadow Systems and get one overnighted to you in an emergency. So
I
you
mean,
can easily replace that gun."
if anybody's got
So
some pull to get one, I'd expect it to be him.
right. So he's like, "Well, you think I should trade it?" I was like, "Bro, yes, for two reasons." I was like, "I think the 48's a better gun than the Shadow Systems gun." And again, full disclosure, I have a Shadow Systems. This is the was this the MR? No, sorry, this is a DR 920. This is the Glock 17 sized one, and it's not a bad gun at all. Like they're stupid reliable, but they have your typical Gen 4 Glock trigger in them, and it's kind of rough. But um, I told him, I was like, you need to trade it because that 48 is a cooler gun than your Shadow Systems gun, and the other reason is if I was a student in class and like let's say I had, I don't know, I'm trying to think. Like, if Kyle Lamb was like, "Hey, man, you want to trade guns?" and I was going to get Kyle Lamb's rifle, and he was going to get my whatever,
Yep.
gun that it would be akin to that. It's like a playing guitar and have a Jimmy Page walk up and be like, "Hey, man, let's trade guitars," and you get Jimmy Page's guitar. So I was like, dude, that will make that dude's day.
It
Like
will.
he will
Yeah.
he will remember that for the rest of his days. How John Lovell wanted to trade guns with him, and gave him his original War Poet. I was like, so yeah, you should do that just for that alone. And he did it, and everybody was happy. So he carried a 48 for a number of years until I think the CR 920 came out from Shadow Systems, which is like it's kind of like a love child between a 43X and a Glock 26.
Hmm.
So it's like it holds like 12 rounds, and it has proprietary magazines. It's not really my cup of tea, but
Yeah.
it's not a bad gun. I see students with them, and the triggers are pretty rough, unfortunately. But um, yeah,
Well, I doubt John watches my live chats, but if he does, and you get an angry phone call about shitting on his stuff, uh, I
I'll,
had no
I'll,
I had no part of this, John.
I'll just click end call, decline.
uh,
So
um, right on. So I don't disagree with anything you said. Um,
why?
the
What? Well,
the thing that makes the
tell me
Glock
why
48
you
my
formed your opinion.
um, I have not seen any you running the PSA mags.
Mhm.
Sorry if I touched the mic out there, guys. It was bothering me.
As long as Mike wasn't underage, it's good.
Um, we haven't seen any reliability difference from a 48 to any other Glock that isn't a 42 or whatever the 380 one is,
Yeah,
or the 22 one, which I don't even count. Like
that's
they're
like
all so reliable.
44.
Yeah, that's it. I like every single Glock model I've seen has been reliable enough to discount the reliability. Um, Getting the same mag capacity with those mags of 15 rounds, I was like, oh, it's like fucking magic. There's a little wizard in there conjuring up a few extra bullets at the end of the magazine or whatever they do. Uh, what I really liked, the whatever the fuck it is, a 16th of an inch thinner, does make it easier for me to uh, not have such bulgy shit showing on my waist. So that part I kind of like. I do like the smaller grip that I don't have to carve on it so much to make it fit my hands better. Damn, my phone is loud. Um, but I'm a big fan of front pocket magazine carry,
Okay.
and the Glock magazines, the double stack Glock mags, are so fucking fat. I have to do rear pocket carry so that it doesn't look like I have a misplaced hard on the whole time.
Full disclosure. I mean, it's interesting you bring that up. Full disclosure, dude. 95% of the time, I don't carry a spare mag. You know, it's like if I can't solve a problem in 16 rounds, um, I probably should be a firearms instructor or something like that. You know, or some like some event has happened where this it doesn't matter what pistol I have. I probably need a squad of infantry guys. You know.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I mean, I can't say that I've ever had to dig into that front pocket for any reason other than doing demos in class.
Right.
But I still carry one, and I don't know. That might be a superfluous habit that I could discard. But there are times that I have gone to places with metal detectors, only armed with a Ruger LCP and whatever 6 rounds of 380,
Sure.
so I can get that through the metal detector relatively easily. And but I did not ever like at a concert with the 380 tucked, right above my pecker, going, man, I feel like I'm armed for the apocalypse.
Right.
Like those are the moments where I'm like, I wish I had a 17 round spare mag for this thing.
I mean, reloads are a statistical improbability.
Yeah.
You know, the whole what was it 3 to 5 rounds, 3 to 5 seconds, 3 to 5
Mhm.
yards. Like I don't know if that's where they get that data from, but um, they've somebody quantified it somewhere, and that's what they say.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who they are, but um, so yeah, I don't carry a spare mag, and like a lot of guys are like, oh, you're gonna get killed in the streets. I'm like, well, if it's my time, it's my time, kind of thing. It's like, oh, you carry an extra mag? You carry a tourniquet? Well, no. I'm like, what are the odds you need a spare mag versus a tourniquet? So like, don't don't shit on me because I don't carry a spare mag when you don't even carry a tourniquet, kind of thing.
Right. I
So,
can't argue that logic either.
but
Like for 20 years or whatever, carrying a gun 300 some plus days a year easily. Um, I've not needed to pick that gun out, the spare mag or my tourniquet, but I still carry them all. The flashlight's the only thing that gets fucking used all the time.
man, I have used a tourniquet a half a dozen times in the last almost 15 years. Um, at least 10 years from coming back from overseas contracting here in the States. I've pulled up on several car accidents, boating accidents. Um, I've had people have, you know, fall down and hurt themselves, or seizures at concerts, or heart attack on the range, or like, so um, I have had to use a med kit, a tourniquet specifically, many times. Never had to pull a gun out, so yeah, I'm right in there, the same statistic as
Yep.
you. So
Yeah, I carry that tourniquet because I used some when I was riding the ambulance as an EMT. But
right,
so I'm like, well, I know I could. This thing might come in fucking handy. But the older I get, the more I try to not leave my county, aka my house or my property, I should say. So I get less and less interactions the older I get, just based off of I'm turning into Walt Kowalski, and I just want to yell at the kids to get off my lawn.
nice. I identify as like, Walt Kowalski. I kind of like, okay, I get it now.
Yep, totally understand him.
So, but yeah, dude, those are my thoughts on, you know, if you can only buy one gun, it'd probably be the Glock 19. And honestly, like, I don't know. I could show up anywhere and somebody be like, "Hey, dude, all I got is a Glock 19," and I'm like, "Yes, all
Yep,
right, we're good." Doesn't
we're great.
matter the configuration. It could be iron sights. It could be, red dot optic. It could, hell, I could shoot, fiber optics, adjustable front or rear sights, like a race gun type setup.
Mhm.
If it's a Glock 19, I could probably shoot it real well, or well enough. And if I have to work on it, I can probably find parts in any gun store, actual gun store, not Walmart. Um, the whole, like, you need to be a Glock armor. There's YouTube for that. I think the Glock armor school might at this point be a little bit of a waste of time on a weapon system so easily maintained as the Glocks. But
Well, I've been told that the discounted parts for Glock armors, the discount has gotten to be where you can still find it cheaper other places.
oh wow, nice.
And I was like, oh, well, that's even more reason to not go take it.
Now, if you can get into the Daniel Defense Armorers course, which I think they closed that, it's only for law enforcement armorers now, which is unfortunate. But um, if you can get into that, they give away a 40% coupon. You can use it on anything.
Wow.
So yeah, if Daniel Defense is your cup of tea, that's not a bad. 40% off of Daniel Defense is still, that's probably about a, what are they, about a $2,500 gun now?
Yeah, they're not cheap.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's about 11 or $1,200 for a higher tier. I'm not going to say top tier, but upper tier AR-15.
yeah,
So
that's a hell of a deal. Uh,
yeah.
when you do a SIG armor class, they give you a 15% coupon,
Oh, oh,
which
and you're going to do R&D for them.
which means that if you need to buy magazines, they actually come down to the price that magazines should cost. Uh, when I did a SIG armorers class, we did like, and if they see this, they might fucking revoke my armor certificate or something. But I did a group buy with all my friends that had SIGs and needed fucking to stock up on magazines because it brought like $50 mags down to $40 magazines.
So, when I was in the guard, we were shooting the M17s, and so I was talking to Kyle Lamb one day. He's like, "Hey, you want a Sig?" Because he's a Sig, brand ambassador or whatever. And I was like, "Ah, sure." So he got me a smoking good deal on an M17. And brother, let me tell you, this is the biggest meh pistol I've ever shot in my life. I went out to the range and I'm shooting it, and like, I shot it all day. I probably shot 550, maybe 600 rounds through this gun. The first day I got it out on the range, about 3 days after I bought it. And like, at the end of the day, I'm just looking at this thing. I'm just like, you are such a fucking donkey. Um, I want to fall in love with you. Well, it wasn't love. It's like, I just want to like you, and I cannot like this gun. Um, it's not very accurate. On a B8 at 25, I can, with a Glock, I can keep them fist sized. freehand. With this thing struggles to keep them in the black. I'll usually have two flyers. I know this is we're going down rabbit holes. We're not
Yeah.
even talking about Glocks anymore. Now we're just shitting on SIGs. But the high borax, this thing cycles. I guess the word violently is what I would
Yeah.
use. But because the moving metal mass is so much greater than say something like a Glock or whatever. When I shoot 115 grain ball, practice ammo, it feels like I'm shooting plus P ammo out of a Glock. um, the recoil it's significantly more noticeable. I can still
Yep.
shoot it, but um, yeah, this is not the gun I'm picking up in a crisis, or hopefully not. But
Yeah. When I was at Tactical Response, the 320 was taking the world by storm,
right,
and James had one. Don Numbers had a couple. Jordan Winkler had a few. So I got a chance to go out the range and shoot him a bunch. And I was super impressed right off the get go that when they sent Jordan they sent like 15 different grip frames of different. There was like ones that were not as fat front to back, and ones
right,
that were different girths. And I was like, holy shit! Like that's going out there to try and make sure that everybody likes this gun. But at the end of the day, I was an M&P fella at the time. I just went back to my M&P and said, "Oh, that's so much nicer to shoot."
right, yeah. Other than well, if you get the Apex trigger, cool, but the reset is like almost unnoticeable on a M&P, and I see so many people freaking short stroke those things.
Yep.
But other than that, yeah, M&Ps are pretty good guns. Um, but yeah, dude, that's just my thoughts on that topic that we spoke about earlier. Again, don't hate the Glock 48. Would carry one if I come across a good deal on one day. Yeah, I might buy one. I don't really have a need for one because I have a Glock 19 and it's doing everything I need it to
Yep.
do. But if somebody was buying their first pistol, I probably wouldn't recommend a Glock 48. To me, that's a niche product that um, you're more of a connoisseur. If you're getting into kind of specialty pistols like that, it's like, ooh, you want like deep concealability and shootability. Um, you know, you care more about just going to the range and
Yep.
blasting a box of ammo
Right.
into a target at 3 yards, kind of thing. So, um, I don't know. Again, if you have a Glock 48, that doesn't mean you need to sell it and get a Glock 19. And if you don't have a Glock 48 and you have a slew of Glocks, it doesn't mean you have to go out and buy one. But
Agreed.
yeah, if you're looking for that next Glock, yeah, sure. And if you have a 48 and you're looking for that next Glock, go get a Glock 19.
Hmm.
Um, so
So
that's the right answer.
I'm in a
Unloadable.
predicament here for myself for going and buying any Glocks. So funny story. I've told this once in a while, but I don't know if I've ever told it on the internet. Um, so when I met Jaeger in 2005, uh,
Okay.
I had a 1911 on me, and he poked a little fun at it, and I was like, well, we'll see if it gets through class and whatever. And he said, well, when you buy a Glock, you'll see. And he went on to explain, the virtues of having a lot of bullets in a plastic double stacked striker fired gun.
All
And
right.
I said, oh, I'm not buying a Glock. And he goes, okay, but when you buy a Glock, then you'll see. So I adamantly refused to ever buy a Glock uh, because I had told him I wasn't going to. And he told me I was going to. And that was our relationship where there was a lot of, like poking back and forth. So I wouldn't buy a Glock. And then we had a dude from Glock in class who were doing like the fighting pistol, uh, the mindset seminar on day 2, getting ready, bringing all the students into the classroom, whatever. And this dude goes, wait a minute. You weren't shooting a Glock yesterday, and now I was shooting an M&P. And he goes on about how they sued Smith and Wesson and all that. So I tell him the story about like, hey, I just said I told that guy I'd never buy a Glock, so I can't. And he goes, but would you shoot a Glock if I gave you one? I was like, oh hell yeah, absolutely. And of course, then James comes running over, going, wait a minute, you've never given me a free Glock. Don't be giving him one. And I was like, hey, bro, don't Glock block me.
Right.
And so this dude gave me a Gen 3 19. And that's
Nice.
when I got like 12,000 rounds through it.
I was thinking maybe like you waited until after James died, so he never had to see you or know that you bought a Glock.
Oh, he'd know, and he'd be whatever the afterlife entails. He'd be there waiting to tell me about it. So
Right.
I'm still like I'll trade for one, and like I have 5 Glock 19 lowers with UTM tops on them.
Hmm.
And I wheeled and dealed for all of those so that I didn't have to buy one. The Gen 5 that's beside me, Dave Biggers gave to me. So
Hmm.
it's been a big thing about like, man, I don't want to buy one of these because like I don't want to lose that argument. So now it's like honoring the argument that we had to never buy a Glock. So my two choices are keep wheeling and dealing for whatever I can come up with, or somebody from Glock is listening and just wants to keep me in a free supply of Glocks. That would be fine as well.
But you've never actually bought a Glock.
No,
That's pretty impressive. You have them, but you've never
I
bought
have them. Yes, I have
them.
6 of them,
That's
7 of them here.
that's kind of funny. That's you're still biting your thumb at James.
Yep, I'm
Holding
so
true.
fucking stubborn.
So, well, cool, man. But yeah, dude, I just wanted to come on board and put that out there and talk about that stuff and
Yeah,
see what
I
you had
thought
to say.
I instantly went, oh, we're probably in agreement in 95% of what we're going to talk about.
Sure.
That the one you like better, I like just as well as a 48, and the one that I like better, you like nearly as well as a 19. Like that whole, there was no, I didn't think there was going to be like, oh, fuck you, you don't know shit. I mean, I'm sure the viewers would have preferred that because it would have been more entertaining, but
I mean, dude, I get offers for staccatos all the time, and I'm just like, but why? Like, not free ones, unfortunately. Like, I'll shoot a staccato if it's free, but you're talking a pistol that costs about 6 times what this costs,
yeah,
and do they shoot better? Yeah, they shoot better. They shoot
yeah,
that much better. Like
right
I
until they stop working.
very rarely do staccato owners outshoot me on the range. Very rarely, and they're just like, "What do you?" I'm like, "Dude, just get better at shooting. Don't move the gun when you pull the trigger." Basically,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it ain't
So,
rocket science.
so
Um, so I have a list of approved guns that I've been collecting data on for since 2014, probably, so 10 years.
mhm.
And the list of approved guns, I don't know who I am to approve shit, but I had to get titled to list something, was when I get 10 unique guns that go through a 2-day class that, you shoot 800 to 1,000 rounds in.
Yeah.
Then I put it on with no issues, unless it's issues that we, induce for,
Like
right?
ammo related issues.
Yeah, if you're running MagTech ammo and every third primer is dead, like I'm not going to count that against the gun.
Right.
Um, and so a lot of times I collect the data. No, I don't write everything down until I'm like, hey, I've had like 5 of those and no issues. It's time to start noting that. But I've had in the last 2 years 6 staccatos in class that I remember seeing, 6 unique ones because one guy's been there a bunch. Never has one of them made it through a 2-day 1,000-round class without having to strip it apart, clean things, add lube or whatever, which could be the user's negligence, but
Right.
they
Well,
were having enough issues that I was like, yeah, I'm not bothered.
that's not anything that I haven't seen. Like if you're coming to a 2-day pistol class and you got a staccato, that the night of after the first day of class,
Yep.
you need to clean it and you need to relube it, but at a minimum you need to relube it. So
Yeah, that's what I've seen. So I discount those. That don't. Oh, that's the other thing. If I have one that has an issue, I need 10 more to offset the one. So if I have 9 good ones and 1 shitty one, I need 11 more good ones before it equals out.
yep.
So like Springfield at this point has to have like 6,000 fucking guns come through or some, like the number's ridiculous because
Right.
XDs just I don't have to tell you about XDs, but
Yep.
they have such a high fail rate that they're at the other end of my spectrum from Glock.
Right. Well, nothing's nothing's that out of the ordinary, man. So,
Yep.
yeah, dude, thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, no problem. We'll do this again. For those of you that have been over on the Instagrams, you may have picked up on a different topic that Sam and I will discuss, and we'll figure out what would be a good time to do that, and we'll run another live chat.
Cool, dude.
Awesome.
I'll be around.
All right, take it easy, brother.
I'll see you, Gary. Bye.
Bye. All right, guys, there you go. There is our special guest. I did not keep up with the comments, but I will now and try to all right, now I'm finally scrolling through. I don't know if he was wearing pants. I'm wearing shorts, so you can say I'm not wearing pants too. Andrew, hello. Need a Ruger LCP Max. Actually, I've seen the Max. I never fucked with one, Javier. I know this is a few minutes back, but it's bigger than the regular LCP. And when I carry that thing, it's all about size. Sonny, hello, sir. Compact, still 19. Fatties for life. Blue Label Glock 48, $360. Fuck, that's a deal. Uncle Gun says, keep the staccato. He's never buying or carrying a hammer-fired pistol again. Agreed. I am not also carrying a hammer-fired pistol. Actually, you know, like if it's an internal hammer gun, I would consider it. I'm not saying that internal hammer is a way to go, but there isn't any fucking need for that thing to be on the outside of the gun anymore. Like they've figured out revolvers have internal hammers, and there are the EZ shields have internal hammers. There are probably others. Like I just don't need a bunch of movie shit on the outside of the gun. Colt Manny says the guy that started the master class with the staccato did not finish the class with the staccato. That was a one-day class. And Andrew says the hat's fucking cool. I'm sure he's talking about my hat, which I got from Turtle at Iron Pig Armament. All right, so now I'm caught up on the comments. Oh, I don't know what somebody said, but 32 minutes ago, Facebook sent me a message saying that they removed a comment because it goes, you shared a piece of content. I don't know if it was a comment about the live chat or. Oh, so Turtle, I don't know if you're paying attention, but I shared the link to Iron Pig Armament right at the beginning of the live chat, and on Facebook they took it down. Goes against the community standards. So how about that? Steven got his Velocity Systems Basha today. Crazy light, packs way small. I love that thing. I once filmed a video on how I set it up. And apparently my camera quit filming about 2 minutes into it. I did all the fucking, like the whole thing. I set it up. I went down to the town park, so the lighting was good, and set it all up again, you know, using a tree, and the camera quit recording. And I was like, got into the how quick it is to take it down when I realized the little red light was off, and fucking never refilmed it. I was so frustrated. And if I buy a staccato, would you run it for me to failure? Yes. It won't be that expensive to do. Well, Turtle, just because Facebook hates you, the rest of us love you. All right. Was there anything up earlier that I missed? Oh, somebody asked, and I'm going to go back to the very beginning and find out. Uncle Guns, if you're still here, I'll finally answer your question. Let me let me see what I remember the question. All right. So you asked about the piece of pick rail on the back of this, I believe, that fits in the MOS plate. So the name of the company is Omega Arms out of Indiana. They made an MOS plate that was pick rail. It does add extra racking grip. I would have done it different had I made it. So it's got 1-ish, 2, 3, 4, 5 slot pick slots in it. The rear sight and the rear pick slot is like half of the rear. Anyhow, there's 4 or 5. I'd have made the pick where it dips in the middle so that it wasn't obscuring just the bottom of the rear sight. If you can picture what I'm talking about. YouTube hates live guns on the interwebs, so I try to do as minimal as possible. So maybe if the guys at Omega Arms are listening and they think about that for the next generation of one, I don't know how popular of an item it was. I got it because it allowed me to torture test a bunch of fucking optics that I could just pick them onto the top. Like, how does a T1 hold up to recoil slide? Or, the recoil when it's on a slide? Well, I just bolt a T1 to it, or a Holosun 40 whatever, 5 whatever, the ones that are that look like T1s, or anything for that matter. We actually fired it with a 3 to 9 power scope on it. It did not break the scope. Oh, there you go. I'm glad you're still here so that you can you got the answer to your question. I don't know if they make it for any other, like the 48 MOS, because I'd be tempted to get one of those as well. Even if, like, I didn't put the stock plate back on. Like, if I was running an optic on it, I'd use whatever plate was required. But going back to irons, the pick rail has no downside other than it's super fucking grippy. It bugs me a little bit that the middle of the rear sights, or the bottom of the rear sights blocked, like the bucket part. But it's the only pistol I have in this house that doesn't have big dots on it. Like the only carry pistol, I have a couple sim guns that have other excess sights on it. This has, I think they're Trigicon sights on it. They are aftermarket. But when Biggers gave me the gun, it was whatever he had put on it. Oh, good to hear about the Swamp Box. I know we talked about that at class last weekend. This coming weekend, Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania has a gun show like three times a year. It's part of the traveling circus of gun shows in PA. Eagle Arms is the people that put on the gun shows, like the promoters of said gun shows. 3 times a year they hit Bloomsburg, which is at the fairgrounds, maybe a half a mile from my house. This particular weekend, it was the only weekend they were going to be on the schedule for 2024 that I didn't have a class on my schedule. So I bought a table at the gun shop, a gun store, gun show. Jesus, fuck. If you want to come down and hang out, you can. It's a gun show, so it's typical for a gun show. If you're looking for a great deal on Holosuns, one of my former students has a booth. He hits all the gun shows, and usually has some screaming Holosun deals. It's all optics. I assume there's good deals on everything, but he has some great deals on Holosuns. And if you point over and say, "Hey, the dwarf sent me," he'll probably knock another $1 or $2 off. And what else happened at that gun show? Oh, there's an Army Navy surplus dude. Always the best deals on ammo cans. I've bought from 30 cal cans up through like 120 or 60 millimeter mortar round cans that are like you can fit a rifle in, a couple rifles. And I usually just buy however many I can fucking carry at once and stock up on the ammo cans, because then when I buy ammo, It never comes in like metal cans. It usually comes in stupid fucking 20 round boxes inside a case. I'm looking at you, every rifle company ever, or pistol rounds, like 50 round boxes inside a big case. If you're lucky, you can get like a bulk pistol case, box, like, and it comes in the plastic ammo cans. So then I have the metal ammo cans I can dump them out into. So anyhow, if you're around Bloomsburg, you want to come down to the gun show, we can hang out, and you can buy some ammo cans or something. I have not seen the Civil War movie, Mr. Foreskin. I don't really go to the movies. I will watch it when it comes out on whatever, some sort of streaming platform. And then next weekend, very last Bug the Fuck Out ever, Bug the Fuck Out 20. We're wrapping it up. And for the love of God, I hope that when I go see the chiropractor on Friday, she unfucks my back so that I'm not miserable on this fucking bug out. It has been very difficult for me to either stand or sit for about a week with some like upper mid back pain going on. Driving, I have to drive with like my shoulder real far forward, so I throw my hand over the steering wheel so I look like I'm pretty ghetto. But it's the only thing that makes my back not hurt. But so hopefully she can fix me up on Friday and I don't have to deal with that on the bug out. But the last bug out's coming up. And if you've never done one, this is your opportunity. If you've done them before, it's your last chance to get another one in. And then we're wrapping them up. And if you've been thinking about the Ghost non-caffeinated hydration drink, the Sour Patch Red Berry, pretty okay. The Kiwi Strawberry, pretty okay. The Orange Dream, or it's not a dreamsicle, so it might be Orange Burst. Tastes just like fucking Tang. It's awesome. Austin, I was just talking about the bug out. Austin signed up for said bug out. So yeah, final one coming up. I ain't seen you in forever, dude, and so you can't back out of this one. I need some glorious beard time. You're the second person that has said that. Is that a Prime drink? Do they have the same shaped bottle or something? I mean, and then, of all the different drink companies, there are very few bottling companies, so it tends to be all from the same place. Anyhow, bug out's coming up, gun show's coming up. What else happening? May 4th, the weekend after the bug out, I believe, is the master class. It'll be the only time it's run this year in Pennsylvania. It'll be the only time it's run this year at all, as far as I can tell. There is a night component. The dark range that we have access to is not large enough to do the master class in. So I'm using the Ben Franklin range, and I have to, the range is nice. I'll give them that, but it is the most expensive range I have ever used. So, side note, that's where I met Sam, who was our special guest tonight. Regardless, that's coming up on May 4th. So that's the next few things coming up. I did mention we got restocks of Mod 4 Sling Dubers, and at this weekend's gun show, I will have the Tremis Dynamic Signature Rifle there. So you can come check that out if you have not. I also went to Midwest Industries and filmed a video with them. And I just need to finish editing it and then put it on YouTube. Sorry, it has taken so long. Remember that part where I said it hurts to sit for an hour? It takes me a long time to edit videos, and I just didn't feel like sitting there in excruciating back pain to edit a video. So I'll try to get it. I should take my fucking laptop to the gun show, edit the video there, because why not? It's gonna probably not be that busy. A, we're in Bloomsburg, and B, I'll be likely the only training company there, and you know how gun people are. They don't train. TJ, there is space for it. I can put you in, but I have to remember. It'd be great if you just sent me an email, like an actual email. That'd be the way to go. TJ bought the package, the workshop package, which was all 15 workshops this year, for $500. There's still one left, I believe. So if anybody else wants to take it, they can. Adam, back when I ran it as a class and not a study group, you absolutely got a certificate that said bug the fuck out. But now that it's a study group and I'm not collecting money from it, there's no cert. So I think probably bug the fuck out 4 through about 12, if you were on it, got a cert that said bug the fuck out. But if you drive up here in 2 weeks and come to the bug out, I'll make you a cert for it. I figure if you're going to go to that much trouble last minute, I can make you a cert. All right. So I got 9:09. That's 4 minutes later than I wanted. I actually started a few minutes earlier as well because I was trying to get the Instagram thing working. So I heard that was up and running. We'll see how that goes. Either way, I think it is time to end this stream. I will see you all next Wednesday. And if you got anything between now and then reach out on any of the socials and pop the question up or discussion topics. Also, let me know who you guys would like to see as guests. I got a great recommendation today for a guest, which I said I couldn't do today because I already had a guest. So we will get that squared away in the future. But if you got other ideas for guests, let me know and we'll try to get them on. With that, you all take it easy and I will see you in a week.